All right.
Loki in center too. That's kind of crazy.
I'm ready. You are now tuned into the motherfucking Ambition Hour podcast on Worth the Wait Radio.
It's the Ambition Hour, baby. It's the Ambition Hour, baby. It's the Ambition Hour, baby.
Yo, and welcome to the Ambition Hour podcast. It's your girl, Claudia Renee, on your airwaves. And
know
this
what it
is
is.
episode 146. Yay!
Back again.
Yes, I am so excited. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. Wherever it is that you are listening to us from, I appreciate you. If you are listening to us, then you do not know that I am not alone. But if you are watching us on YouTube on our WTW TV channel, then you can see that I am not alone. And I'm going to introduce our special guest for today, which is Sabrina. Clap it up for Sabrina, please.
Thank you for having me.
Yay.
Excited.
I'm very excited to have you here. And as always, I have my co-host, Top 600 in the building.
As always, here reporting live for duty.
My audio, visual, everything behind the scenes, man.
You know, I hear his voice and I don't see the face. And then today I finally get to see him in person.
Yay.
I'm like, all right.
And you know, as always, I did not disappoint. So
How has the face for behind the scenes?
facts, yeah. I guess, yeah. But hey, I just peeped this though. That's what the AV and JAV stands for.
Audio visual. They don't even know,
man.
huh? They don't even know. They wasn't ready for that.
Yeah,
He
they
wasn't
ain't wake, man.
ready.
Tap your third eye in.
We tapped in, Hav.
Yeah,
We
tap
tapped in.
Tap it.
All right, Hav. Okay, so before we go ahead and get started, Hav, do we have any new music that is dropping this week from you?
Yeah, that's right. We have a guest that's also dropping her book, and in fashion, you know, she motivated me, so I'm gonna go ahead and drop my little EP that I got. Not little, a major EP, major, huge, the best thing that you ever heard in this goddamn world. Nothing changed. Dropping this Friday. Well, it's out now. Go ahead and listen to it.
Officially out now everywhere. Remember what I say every time my brother drops music. Y'all better go listen to my little brother's music.
Or the killers is coming for. Oh, hold on. Let me.
No.
talking too much. I'm talking too much.
Listen, the goons don't need the heat up right now. They're getting out of the last one.
Don't wake up the block.
No,
Yeah, for real. The feds, Clay, the feds. Listen. You know they don't even listen to the first 15 minutes.
They do. We're still only in the 6. Okay, cool. So y'all make sure that y'all listen to Hav's new project. And like he said, one of our previous guests, Nikki Bryan, is dropping her book, Create Your Own Magic, officially available everywhere for you guys. Yay. I'm also reading her book.
We love that.
Yeah.
So how many books you got going on?
Like, listen, she bought 7 and is reading 3.
we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I wanted to start off the episode how we always start off the episode, and it is what are you grateful for this week, Sabrina?
Life.
Ooh,
I'm like,
that's a
and
major
literally,
one.
yeah, life in general. Like, I'm just so blessed to, have woken up another day. Literally, that was my post this morning. I just, it was just a genuine caption. One of those kind of like, if you're reading this, then you're blessed. You have another day of life. You could have been to many other places. And fortunately, it's time to grind and make those opportunities happen. So I'm happy that I have another day of life. There's too much going on right now to like
Way too
not
much.
appreciate the little things. So.
I agree. Hav, what are you grateful for this week?
Ah, shit. I'm grateful
You thought I
for.
was gonna forget you.
The EP drop.
I think that I'm grateful for, man, just growth and just seeing yourself develop and just always pushing yourself to go for better, because you're never like you're better than you once were, but you always feel that you're gonna go better, and just kind of like always teetering between that and fighting, like appreciating that, dang, look at where I came from, right, in training or whatever like that, like, dang, look at how far I sharpened my skill, but my sword is only getting there, so like that type of shit. So I don't know, I'm appreciative of that, and I guess that's somewhat of life if that's kind of cherry picking off of hers.
Yeah.
But
I'm grateful for the slow moments, the moments that just flow, that just things are like, when you're having a great conversation and it's just going, not that it's going slow, but it's just taking its time. and it's just being beautiful on its own.
Going
Yeah.
with the flow,
Yeah, and then
You was
also,
always a Bobby
not
Valentino
forcing
fan.
anything.
what'd you say?
Like just going with the flow, not having
Yeah.
to force anything.
Yeah.
Anything like that.
And something like just being for like a couple of minutes or things like that. Yeah, I'm grateful for that. I'm also just grateful for laughing. I've been laughing
I love
a lot.
your laugh.
Thank you.
There it is.
It's contagious.
Yeah, facts, yeah.
Thanks. I do love laughing. That's one of my favorite things ever. So,
That's what keeps you young, girl.
yeah,
so.
girl, yes,
Smile.
yes, yes. I don't know. I look get this young. That's the
Zoom
secret.
into the smile.
That and ambition hour water.
That's the secret.
For real. Okay, so I always like to start the show with that because I feel like you can't receive more if you're not grateful for what you already have. So I always feel like it's important. So whatever it is that you're grateful for, guys, make sure that you drop it in the comments and let us know.
How fitting. It's November.
And it's in November. Yeah, we're in November. So okay, so I wanted to talk real quick about the books, and then because you asked me, and I didn't want to like be like I'm not gonna answer your question.
Don't skip my question. No, I'm a journalist.
Sabrina's a journalist as well, so you're our first journalist. So first female journalist. So
Okay.
I'm really excited
Yes.
to have
My
you.
lady.
Yes,
Journalism.
yes.
That's all the news base.
Yes. So I'm currently reading If Beale Street Could Talk by wow, why is I'm blanking on his name.
Go ahead with the next one.
Okay,
I'll
it's
get the
James
author.
Baldwin. I'm so sorry,
James
King. I'm sorry, James Baldwin.
How
How could I? I know, cause like I should know this name. I'm also reading Create Your Own Magic by Nikki Bryan, and this one is a 60-day plan, and it's basically like affirmations every day. She gives you like kind of like an exercise to do as well. I like things that kind of make me do something and kind of like think about it, so that's why I like doing these type of books. So I'm reading the Soul Coaching book, which, guys, today that we're recording, I'm on day 12 of it, so things are going great.
You're right on task.
I'm right on task. Things are actually going pretty good. So I'm reading that one. I'm reading her she has another book. This one's a little more shorter cuz it's like very small passages, but it's called Affirmations for My King.
This is the one you read every year.
No, the one that I read every year is called Soul Coaching.
Okay.
I added it to my collection Create Your Own Magic, so I'll more than likely read it next year again. So yeah, those are the two that like I'm consistently reading, and then If Beale Street Could Talk, and I keep dipping into Lovecraft
You should
country.
start a book club.
I should. I joined one,
Okay.
but I
Good
should
ass
start
idea.
one.
Yeah, might as well right here on the show.
Yeah, I feel like I joined one and I read a good book from there, so I definitely want to start a book club. I just feel like I need to hold myself more accountable when it comes to reading, but I feel like the book club could help with that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about you, girl. You said you're a journalist.
I am here and there.
Here and there.
You know, fake news.
No, she's the host of 305 Times, right?
Yes.
And so she's the host of that. And guys, this show is in Spanish, isn't it?
It is Spanglish. I've
Spanglish.
transitioned more to English, but it did start off just Spanish. You know, they gave me the opportunity to kind of just be myself, which was, you know, I mean, my first language is English, but I do speak fluent Spanish. But it's been a great challenge, you can say, because I've learned how to express myself a little bit better in Spanish, and then I've also learned how to kind of mix it with the whole Spanglish. Not every person I interview speaks Spanish, so I just like my people to feel comfortable when they're in the studio with me recording. So
I know if I had to do an interview in Spanish, I would definitely do it without a doubt.
Absolutely.
Like I would totally do it if I had to. I haven't needed to do that yet. But
where are you from?
Our family's from Nicaragua.
Okay,
Yeah. You're from
Colombia.
Colombia. Okay.
Hey,
Colombia in the
Colombia.
house.
where's agua diente at, man?
Hey, Papa Azul, sin azúcar, please.
Hey, yes, that's a fact. Hey. Secret facts. Take notes, ladies and gentlemen.
But was it important for you to, I guess, work for a company that was mainly in Spanish, or was just that what ended up happening?
You know, it's kind of like what ended up happening. It was more of it fell into place, and it felt right too. I've always felt comfortable with my Spanish, until I got on air. Until I realized that there were certain things that I'm like, okay, I really don't know how to express myself in that. So, before interviews and things like that, obviously you prepare yourself, and I'd look up words. Like, I'm like, wait, how do I say this in Spanish? Just so I don't get stuck in the middle. But I think it's made my Spanish get even better. I like to think.
I mean, I've heard your Spanish and it sounds really good.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean,
You're
I
welcome.
I think my grandparents are proud about that.
Yeah,
It's so
they
important.
are, yes.
And now I think the same thing. I'm like, I would like to pass the Spanish along if I have kids in the future, things like that, because I think it's so important. And here in Miami, I mean, it's like a no-brainer.
You need
bound to learn some Spanish.
you gotta learn something, because how are
Yeah.
you gonna order your favorite food?
And la ventanita.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
Or un cafecito that you may need to order or whatnot. I feel it. Yeah, that's definitely important in Miami, Spanish. I asked that because for me, growing up, I would see shows like in English, but I would also see shows in Spanish. But the shows that I was watching in Spanish, I'm not sure if you were familiar with Mundos.
Mundos, yes.
When I was younger, they had this show called The Roof.
Okay.
And so it was a Spanish music based show. But if I'm not mistaken, the girl who was hosting it was Julissa Bermudez.
Okay.
It was her who was hosting that show. And I think she was hosting it in English. So it was kind of dope to see that dynamic for me. And I always knew that I wanted to like have my own show. So did you ever like think that like when you were younger to like have your own show and it be in Spanish or in English? Like I feel like as Latinas we go through that. Like, am I gonna choose my Latin side?
That's so funny because that I've asked myself that question, a bunch of times. I feel like I have to pick one, and you really don't. I mean, at least thankfully here in South Florida, you don't really have to. You kind of get away with it.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things that I just so happened to start off in Spanish. So I'm like, you know what? Now I'm considering it. I'm like, I would not mind, hosting a show, whether it's a talk show or, just being a reporter in Spanish, completely in Spanish. I mean, it's a great advantage that we even know a second language.
I agree.
So might as well put it to use, get that paper, and, let's go.
Listen, the money don't talk no language.
Growing up, I did listen to more of English radio stations.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought I would, feel more comfortable doing, is just straight English. But I think either or at this point. It's all about opportunities and experiences, and you grow from it. And I've definitely grown from, having to report in Spanish and interviewing in Spanish. So
yeah, because I've seen some of the interviews that you've done with like artists and stuff, and your personality just shines. Like, and I love it because I can express myself in Spanish. But it's just different. It's so different, right? So? Yeah, it's different. Like, I just see myself, like, maybe not being 100% comfortable with it. Maybe not the first time. Maybe, like, after a couple of times, like, I'll be comfortable with it. But I don't know. So I admire that. I admire that you can do it in Spanish, and you're interviewing these people in Spanish. And I don't know. I think that's beautiful.
Thank you. You're like, so sweet. Thank you. So full disclaimer, I did go maybe 2-3 years of school that I attended in Colombia. So that helped out a lot growing up. I was born in Miami, and I mean, most of my life I spent it in Miami. But a few years I did live in Colombia, and I had to go to school there. So, I mean, the education, I think at that time it was a lot more advanced from like when I came back here to Miami. So the Spanish helped out. You learn how to write in cursive and all this stuff. And so I think thankfully I've been able to apply that.
Yeah.
And you practice it.
Wait a minute. So how was living in Colombia? Like how does the conversation happen? Like, hey, you're going to go to Colombia for 3 years to like go to school.
It was more of a back and forth thing.
Okay.
With my family, my dad had moved over there. So, trying to keep that family together. My mom and my sister and I, we moved over there, and we were young. So it was easier to kind of start off fresh at a new school like that. But then when it got to that point of like middle school, 7th grade, that you're kind of already establishing those friends that you're going to go to high school with. Yeah.
It's a whole different game.
Like, all right, at this point,
enough is enough.
Enough is enough. Where are we staying? And, we ended up here, and I've been here ever since. I want to say like maybe since I was 13 that I've been living in
like
Miami.
Staying here. Yeah. Cause wow. I think about like because when you're growing up, like how you said, like in the beginning, it's not that much of a big deal because you're little. So being able to adjust to different places is easy. But for me, like for us, I always use us as an example when talking about moving here, because we moved here from California.
Okay.
So moving here from California at a young age, for me, I always felt like it was something that it was part of the child in me wasn't okay with that. You know what I mean? So like I just held on to that for such a long time. And it's not until recently that I kind of like let it go because I just felt like I had to. So to hear like you having to do like travel back and forth or even like living in a whole nother country where you had to like learn the language, actually just be fluent in the language and even the education. Like I just moved from California to Miami, like in English. Like I was in English and and I was just like, what do you mean I have to take a Spanish class? Like what is that?
When I came back, I remember they put me in an ESOL class.
They
like,
did.
It was like that, yeah.
Wow. We have a very like super Spanish last name is Larga Espada.
Oh yeah.
So for us, we like I would want to get away and take the Spanish for English speakers, but because of my last name, they were like, no. It wasn't until like junior and senior year that they let it slide because I got to pick it. But like in elementary school, they wouldn't let me. It's funny. Okay, so I wanted to ask you a couple more. Oh, so as a host, for me, one of my favorite things to talk about is my favorite moments. So what has been some of your favorite moments, like as when you're doing an interview or even the episodes that you may do by yourself? Or
it has to be when I have somebody in the studio. Although I do enjoy myself just speaking and cracking up by myself. Literally what you said, you love to laugh. If I'm not laughing when I'm like doing my own show, then it's kind of like I'm not enjoying myself, or like what am I really doing, you know? I have to soak in the moment and like make myself laugh.
Yeah,
I could be funny too, you know?
Yeah, you are funny.
Thanks. So that's literally what keeps me going. And I mean, when you think about it, you're talking to yourself when you do these shows alone for like over an hour, like, you know, so you got to keep not only the audience engaged but yourself, like. So that's why I try to pick, you know, topics that are obviously of interest, not only to me, but I think about the audience too. Like, what do people want to know about this? And that's kind of how I will, like, speak on it. Because I don't report, like, on my show. It's not like, you know, news that you're just reporting. I do like to give my 2 cents. You know, we're opinionated over here.
Very opinionated over here too.
Yeah. And then when I have guests on the show, then, you know, it just gives me that second opinion, and it's easier to interact. The conversation flows more. So, what was the question again? What's my best time?
No, your favorite moments.
I asked the questions, I don't answer.
Literally, every time that I'm on this side, I'm like, oh, wait, hold up. I'm getting too comfortable. But my favorite moments is, literally being in the studio. I think we took that for granted a little bit before this whole pandemic, because now it's like everything's virtual and, you know, we don't get that same interaction. And you just, it's a little bit more, I don't want to say serious when you do interviews like online, but you know, it's different. You don't have like the setting with the artist
or the actual energy. Like it's so different when you're doing like a FaceTime call or like a Zoom call or something like that.
Like you get the opportunity to take a video, like make something fun, TikTok, whatever. It's just more interaction in person. So I took that for granted, but I think just any guest in general, depending on what they have. And that's also something that I think about when I have like any guest on the show, like, kind of like what do you bring to the table? What, like, let's talk about something like worth it. What are you promoting? What are you know, what's your passion? So I enjoy all my guests. I'd like to say that. I have a good time with everybody.
I agree. I'm the type that I also, the people that I bring onto the show, it has to be someone that I know I'm going to have a great time with because I have to ultimately be with them for an hour, you know, and sometimes even more because we do the episode for an hour or, you know, or so, depending on how much fun we're having.
Let's see how long this combo goes.
Depending on how, you know, much fun. But it has to be somebody that I know that I can be speaking to, being in the same room with them for an hour and change, you know? And is it going to be beneficial on both ends? You know, like, can they come and can I be my best self with them? You know, can I make it a safe space for them to do the same with me, you know. So I just always feel like that's important too when having guests and stuff, is just like the energy, who they are. And I'm excited. Is she the first guest for November?
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah, it's a special month.
Yay.
Already special month, yeah.
That's how we're starting the holidays.
Yes, that's how we're
2020.
starting it. Yeah, so I'm really excited to have you here, because I always felt like since we followed each other, it was like always like an instant, like, you're cool.
Yes.
But it was never like we never said it. We just like, it was just mutual, like, all right, girl, I see you. Yeah, I see you too.
And you know, when I follow back, I mean, I like to follow back people that are gonna give me like the content that I like, you know, what I want to see on my feed, like what, and the fact that we both do, you know, podcasting, is just like one thing that we have in common off rip, you know, even before we get to know each other. So that's always something we can relate to.
Yeah. Yay.
Make it even funner. Subscribe.
Yeah, for real. Okay, so something that I'm really big on is mental health, which is funny because I just recently started working for a therapist, so that's crazy to me. And so mental health is really important to us here on the Ambition Hour podcast, and we like to talk about it a lot because we feel like it's important. What is it that you do to help your mental health?
You know, I just love my me time. Like, just any chance I get. I mean, I live with my family still, so, you know, not that there's anything wrong with that. I love being with them, but at the same time, sometimes you just need to get away. So anytime that I have a day off or anything like that, like I'll go to the beach, maybe try to catch the sunrise, or just, you know, go for a swim, or just work out outdoors. When I do, I'm like, let me at least get a good view in, you know, soak in the moment, because we live in a beautiful city.
We do.
So
you got to take advantage of it when you can.
Exactly. I take myself out to eat, for a drink, and that's like the little things that I never thought I'd do, like, by myself. You don't really think about that. You always just like dependent on someone else, or like
waiting for
someone's
them
company. No, I'm like, you know what? I'm hungry. I want to try a new place. I'm gonna go. I want a drink. I'm gonna go. I'm like, I'm gonna take myself out, because you can't really wait around for anybody.
You cannot.
My life.
Heard that.
Yes. Yes. Oh man, you just spoke a whole word, girl, because that's something that's important for me too, is the whole me time. And that's something that we talk about here as part of the mental health, is having your me time and taking yourself out on a date. And I love going to love beach days by myself. Like, I love beach days by myself. Like, they're the best. You just people watch, or you don't even pay attention, or you know, or like, I'm the type that I like to take my speakers, so I have my music and it's playing as loudly as I want it to play, and you can either like it or you don't. You're supposed to be social distancing anyway, so get up off me or whatever. I also love I'm also the friend who sometimes goes out by herself.
Okay.
So I've done that as well. Have you done that? Have you ever tried it?
Like out to dance?
Yeah.
Or I wouldn't say to dance specifically, but I've gone out to like the bar by myself.
See, like I'll
just go sit at a bar and order a drink and
for me, what I've done is, like, I was out with my friends and they wanted to leave, and I was like, I'm not ready to leave. So I stayed and I just went somewhere. It was in Wynwood. You know, in Wynwood you can you just walk around and you just end up in one place, and all of a sudden you're having a great time by yourself, you know. And so that's happened I've done that before, because I'm the type that sometimes I'm just not ready to leave, so I don't. And there's also been times where, like, I'll literally start the night by myself and end up somewhere by myself, and then somebody ends up meeting me later or something like that. Yeah. So me time, guys, very, very, very important.
Yourselves, no matter what it is, even if it's like just going to the corner, walking to the corner. If you just need that alone time to like listen to a podcast, anything that's gonna get your mind going.
Yeah, and that's good, because those things are free. Like listening to a podcast, going for
You're gonna be on it anyways.
Like going for a walk, or doing something like going to one of my favorite. I don't know if you've ever been to this. There's a park by here called Larry and Penny. Yeah, I love going there. It has like some of the best views of the sunset. Like the sunset looks really nice there, and it's just a really nice place to walk, like in. And I love going there for my me time and just like not disconnecting, because we don't want to disconnect from life. I meant
Just for a little bit, you know.
no, cause we were saying how I don't want to disconnect from life because I that would mean that I need like that I'm not content with what's going on or something like that. We got really deep with it.
It's just a little buffer.
Yeah.
You'll reconnect.
Yeah.
Little buffer.
Like what happens on a FaceTime call when the service is kind of like
Zoom these days. All I'm
Oh yeah, reconnected.
Yeah.
So you were saying how you've been doing because you also work for CBS.
Yes. That's my news side.
That's our news.
My news side. Yeah, I have like my news side and then I have my entertainment side with
Yeah.
the radio station. And I actually, I thought I wanted to be like a news maybe towards my senior year of college. I was like, you know what? I think I can do news because it's always been entertainment for me. That's what I've liked, like entertainment reporting and just like more of the music side, anything. And then with news, I'm like, can I report? Can I be in front of a camera after I've just heard like, a tragedy? I'm a very sensitive person, so I feel like I'm one of those that will break down in front trying to report a story. So, throughout the time, I've kind of like changed my mind a few times, but at the same time, I'm like, maybe I can do it. So right now, I'm in a place where I'm like, I love news in general. I'm an assignment desk editor, so I've got to learn a little bit of everything because literally we do a little bit of everything as far as like confirming the information that we're hearing in the scanners, and assigning reporters and our photojournalists to different stories, kind of like looking up what we're going to use for the newscast. So, the visual part of it.
Yeah.
What do we need? What elements, whether it's from like social media or, things that we're recording ourselves. So, that's the beautiful part of it is the storytelling process. So right now I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of down for anything. I wouldn't mind trying news reporting. But entertainment reporting is what I've always felt like more comfortable with. And, it's
this just in a breaking story.
It's for your breaking news. Yeah.
Do you have a like a newscaster voice? Because
I can have one.
You
Yeah.
can have
Yeah,
one.
acento neutro is what we call it. Yeah, I can, but I have to be like, reading this. Good morning and welcome to, I have to go in full mode. And that's another thing too. Like I kid around a lot sometimes, so it's hard to stay in character. And I'm always like, shout out to the anchors. A lot of times too, you're improvising. I mean, we were talking about a chase earlier.
Yeah.
When you're on a chase, you don't know what's gonna happen, so you're just pretty much reporting what you're seeing. That's what you're describing to everyone at home watching.
Yeah.
So it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of behind the scenes things that people don't get to see, the stressful side of news. And I'm so happy elections are over.
Girl,
that's another part of it.
Aren't we all?
Oh my God. If it's not like hurricane season, it's elections. It's like always something. And that's like what keeps you so busy in news.
There's always something happening. There's literally always something happening. Did you grow up watching Univision News or Telemundo News?
Oh, the beef.
Yeah, damn.
You know what's funny? Univision is CBS's sister station. So we like work a lot with,
So right now we're going to say that one, right? They couldn't check. Yeah.
Right now we're going to go with that one. But honestly, that's what I remember my grandmother watching more. Now I can't say she watches more Telemundo 51.
Yeah.
But my grandparents, I would always remember watching her Univision. So
I feel like that was something that we would watch as well too. And then Telemundo was just like a random novela maybe, and then now it's like a little bit different because I think they upgraded their shows.
The whole network.
Whole network itself.
If I'm not mistaken, Telemundo 51, they're like the news station that gets the most ratings.
Oh wow!
Out of everyone kicking
Booty.
all the other local stations here, all the local news stations. Yeah, so
Dang,
they're getting that going, and you can see it from that nice building that they have now.
I know that's right. I think I've seen it.
You can see it right off the turnpike. If I'm not mistaken.
And so when the pandemic started, tell me how crazy was the news station when this shit broke out? Because us as the viewers and the audience, we see it one way because we're receiving the news,
right.
But you guys are finding it out and literally having to tell people. Like, how crazy was that?
Yeah, especially the first few weeks when that first case in Miami-Dade, and we're kind of like, all right, here we go. One of the first people was the city of Miami mayor,
Seriously.
Francis Suarez. So that was like a big thing because as soon as someone tweets it out, okay, oh, we gotta confirm that. We gotta go. Let's go. And then now it's like with the numbers, how high they've gone, it's just like an everyday thing. It's now just more of an adjusting to the new normal.
Yeah.
But the first few weeks, it was like, that was all we were covering, coronavirus pandemic, locally, nationally. And we slowly stopped hearing about other things. But it doesn't mean that it wasn't still happening, like shootings and things like that. It's just, when you have crews focused on one story, there's only so much we can do as far as covering everything else. And unfortunately, that's one of the things that happens. You only have either a 30-minute newscast or an hour newscast. And, people a lot of times say what the media doesn't show and things like that. But a lot of things get cut. A lot of things get cut off even prior to it. If there's something breaking, everything's based off of time frames.
Yeah.
So if there's something breaking last minute, we got to kick out that nice story of the puppy that got adopted. You're not
that
going
one's
to be
gotta
able to
go.
see that today. Yeah.
That's not going to get the shine it deserves. The heartwarming stories got to go.
But it's reality.
And that's ultimately why people watch the news. They don't watch the news to see that a dog got adopted. I feel like, the news is always a double-edged sword, because there's some people who it really affects them and really affects their mental health and kind of takes them into like a dooms. And with your phone, it's called like doom scrolling. Mm-hmm. And that's basically just seeing bad news and like looking like videos of it and just reading about it, and just like it's literally like, instead of social media, it's just you're just putting so much news into your brain that it's like very bad. And then there's some people who just watch the news to get what they need to get, and they go on about their day. Like the only time that I was really watching the news, and actually what I would do is I would Google it, like who was winning the election. Like I would just Google it. Or my mom would tell me. My mom is damn near the news for me, because as soon as Biden won, she texted me. I mean, no, she actually told me. She went up to me and was just
you're
like,
off social media right now.
Yeah, I'm off of that too. So I'm off of, I feel like this one, it kind of benefited me the most because it was during the election, and I just know that people are on social media wilding. Like, and I'm a very big I love Twitter too, so I just know on Twitter, because for the debates, they were going off about everything. It was awesome. So
I just look at the funny side of it. I'm like,
I love the funny side. Yeah, I love the funny side of it too. That's one of the things that I enjoy the most is the funnies. I ultimately want to laugh. So maybe that's why I try not to pay attention to the news and things like that. But I do know that, like, as far as COVID and the pandemic, and even with the racial injustice that has been happening, like a lot of right now what the country is experiencing is a lot of trauma, like through different areas. And something that has been important that I keep hearing as far as like messages go is like having to heal from that. Like, we don't know how this pandemic is going to affect us. Like, for different people, they lost their jobs. For some people, they had to continue working and basically, like, have to pull through to, what if I'm going to lose my job? Right. Or what if my company is going to close? Or what if my, relative gets sick?
Yeah, now you're risking
your own life, and then now there's just so many things. So it's just like the first step is in healing, and I'm really hoping that even though 2020 has been so crazy, that we ended on a good note. That's what I just hope for.
I hope so too, and everyone.
Yeah.
But you have to start off with yourself, and then hopefully be able to spread that energy, that
for
positivity
sure
with everyone.
Well, yeah, it starts with you guys. That's for sure.
You're the change.
There's that voice.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, you. Have you seen on TikTok? There's this couple that they're both anchors. Have you?
Yes.
And I think she's Dominican.
Miss News.
Yes.
Oh my God, I forgot her name.
I love them.
I think his name is Robert, and
yeah,
her name, I just know her by her.
Isn't it Jazz?
I could be wrong though.
I don't remember. I'm not sure what her name is. But I love them. One of the reasons why I fell in love with them first was because they did this trend that it was pretending to be their wife for the day. And he did like a whole bunch of shit that was pretending to be her.
Yes.
And that made me, I was just like, these two are perfect. Like, I hadn't even seen her and how she was. I just loved him acting like her. It was the best for me. So I fell in love with them. But then when I was on TikTok, I was seeing like their videos of them, like,
Jeanette Reyes.
There you go, Jeanette Reyes.
Yeah.
That's what I opened my phone for.
Yeah, I'm like, well, since I'm not off of social media.
People that are on social media love doing that.
Yeah. And now she's doing these collabs with another anchor.
Yeah, she is. About spilling the
'cause-
tea. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's hilarious.
Yes. She's going to be somebody's page that I'm going to go back and kind of like binge on and see what's up with her.
So funny. Now I'm following her on Instagram. But yeah, I saw her. I came across her account on TikTok too.
I was saying earlier that Serena gets the tea before everybody else. Listen, y'all like tea, she has it. Y'all like tea, she has it. So we were talking a little bit about music earlier, and you were saying that you listen to a lot of Spanish music, right? And so what artists would you recommend in Spanish? Because okay, so for me, I go through phases with Spanish music. I also go through phases with different genres of music. I guess that's what
different times of music. At least for me, speaking
Yeah,
of myself, time.
that as well. That's what comes with being a music lover, is that you end up I'll go through a phase where like I'm listening to nothing but Bad Bunny and all of these different artists
And
and
loving every moment of
and
it.
I'm listening to like Dembow like all the time, and I always go through that phase, and then I'll go through like a heavy R&B phase and then a heavy hip hop phase. So what artists are you listening to right now?
Well, these last 2 days I've been actually listening to the artists that I've had to interview.
Oh,
that's
yay.
usually what I like to do before I interview them. So one of them, his name is Echo, and he's an Argentinian rapper, and crazy. He freestyled. I gave him 4 words, and he freestyled off of it, like super dope. And it's so cool seeing it in Spanish, because you're used to seeing that a little bit more in English.
Yeah.
And from Argentina, it was a little bit different because most of the trap and the género urbano comes from like Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic, things like that. So it's cool seeing it from Argentina. And he has a new song with another Argentinian artist, a female artist called Kazu, and she's also like heavy on the trap. I feel like you'd like her. Yeah.
Send the tracks.
I'm gonna send you a few different artists. So I was listening to his latest songs yesterday because he's about to drop an EP. And then today I was speaking to this up-and-coming artist. His name is Impara, also Puerto Rican, and super, super dope. Like, their flows are, it comes very natural, like very, very genuine. And
That's what I love about Spanish music, too.
Yeah.
And at least this new wave this always seems like so natural and just kind of like,
They just
it
are
just
who they
fits.
are.
And they're rapping, and I guess because, we're Latinos, it's just, like, cool to kind of relate to it and be able to understand what they're saying. And at the same time, it's like a little, they add that tipo perreo in the songs. And I think that's what always calls my attention more with Spanish music, is that I feel like I could dance to it more. So I'm more of a dancer, and,
Yes. you just did you just did the move that I know what that means. I'm definitely a dancer too. That's one of my favorite parts of Spanish music as well, is the perreo part of it. I just think that's what makes it very unique, is that just like the perreo, and then wanting to like just, especially what they be saying. When you get it, it's so different. It's like, oh wow. We actually have a producer that we work with, PA on the track, that's from Argentina.
That's a
Yeah,
fact.
and he's actually done a couple of tracks for Spitz.
Mhm.
So, and for you too, Have?
Yeah, we got a couple.
Yeah, you guys have a couple.
Yeah, we got that the song that's out now that he released. Move, I think. Yeah, move with Mr. C, that's out now too. So go ahead and check that out.
Nice. But something that we've had a guest on here before. His name is DJ EFN. Shout out to DJ EFN. He actually has this show where he goes to international places. Like, he went to Haiti. He went to, I want to say China.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
he went to China. pretty
to,
sure.
almost every continent.
Yeah,
Basically.
I am pretty sure he went to South Africa, but he just goes to different places, like even Colombia. He goes to different places and he looks for hip hop there. And he like you get to see like the culture of how it is and how they rap and how they come up with the beats and how it's so different from here because we have so many resources and there's studios popping up literally every week. There's a new studio or at least a home studio is popping up because but there's people in those countries that they don't have the same luxuries that we're allotted to, so they have to like make up their own way and work with what they have. We were talking about that as well, like you have to start with what you have and continue to build, and then it'll be what it needs to be eventually. You're always gonna try to make it better though.
Of course. It could be a little perfectionist on this end.
It could a little perfectionist. So yeah, so I always thought that was cool, like just seeing the different countries and their way of maybe rapping, whether it be in Spanish or in English. I just think that music is such a universal language and I love it. Like, did you grew up here in Miami, did you listen to like maybe some other genres, like maybe like reggae or soca music or even compa music?
Yeah, more of the reggae.
Yeah.
But I feel like reggae also kind of the beats get mixed in there with like reggaeton, which is what you grow up listening to.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, something that I would listen to reggae growing up because it was just a genre that I was drawn to, and then later on I found out that that's where hip hop came from. So it's kind of like, oh, no wonder. Yeah, and I was like, exactly. So I always loved reggae music. So something that what I would always have a battle with was I always felt like the reggaeton songs would sound like reggae because I would hear the reggae songs first. So I'm just like, why are they,
and then reggaeton comes from hip hop.
Yeah, and then reggaeton comes from hip hop, exactly.
Latin trap, todo eso.
Yeah, all
hip-hop,
of that.
Rap is that's their influence.
Yeah. So I know you've done like red carpets and stuff, right? You have.
I've been blessed.
Cause you did a Premios Juventud.
So the last one, literally right before everything shut down, because it was in February. It was Premio Lo Nuestro.
Premio Lo Nuestro
right here at the AAA.
How is like a red carpet like experience?
It's literally, I mean, everything is glitz and glam, but then you got a backpack right with you. You have the tripod that you're also carrying while you're on heels, and it's very fast paced because artists are just walking the red carpet. You have to either call them up or the PRs. If the PR is already familiar with, the network that you're with, that you're representing, then they'll bring over the artist. But it's very quick, it's not so much that they don't want to talk, but everyone's timed. They have things to do, whether it's rehearsals, the pre-show.
Yeah.
So it's very
usually,
fast-paced. Yeah. So, when preparing for those type of events, I kind of just like, I always have like those generic questions that I'm going to ask. Or if it's an artist that I know that's going to be on the carpet, you study them before, and then you try to squeeze in that $1 million question that's gonna make social media and gonna get those views.
Yeah.
More importantly, yeah, because everything's like always content for social media, and literally what the world has come to. Everything on social media.
Yeah, everybody goes to social media to get what they need to get, whether it be like. I look for when I'm gonna go somewhere. I look for their Instagram first, like a restaurant. I'm on. Girl, listen. When I'm gonna meet somebody, when I'm gonna like, if we did not meet on social media and I find your social media, best believe I'm checking the whole thing. And yeah. We turn into like FBI agents when we want to find something, especially on social media.
It's so easy though. I mean, anything that you're putting out there is obviously you want the public to see. So
and it's public information.
It's not really like you're trying to be secretive or anything like that.
That's true. You're right.
So you gotta be careful what you put on social media because they could come right back to you, bite you in the ass.
For real. And then because people are quick to screenshot shit.
And that's something I've had to like think about. I mean, I'm not no public figure, nothing like that. At least I don't consider myself that, because I'm still just growing.
You're not yet.
Not yet.
But you gotta
Thank
act like
you.
that today. Though.
You're right.
Mm.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
type, right?
thank you. That's exactly what I do. I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna post anything on social media that
I go through the
I
same
don't
thing,
want, that
yeah.
I'm gonna regret. Like, even if it's tomorrow. So I'm just like, if I have to think about it twice, then it's not going on social media. Especially also working in news. That's something that you have to take into consideration. It's just like sometimes I do have to keep my opinion a little hush hush, because at the end of the day, you do represent, a company. So
Yeah, I agree. I there's certain things that I just won't talk about on social media. I may just talk about it on here.
yeah. Which will end up on social media.
No, because sometimes we don't post the whole thing. We don't post the part sometimes.
It's all on, but it's on. So if YouTube,
yeah, because
is a
YouTube
social
is a
media,
social
though.
media, so
So
I
it is
guess
all up on there.
technically
Somebody can easily just cut that
Yep.
20-second clip that
Yep.
you said this,
Exactly.
talking about feeling on dogs and shit.
Yeah.
That's what happened to Joe.
But there's certain topics, especially with the whole like racial injustice, that I'm just like, you know what? This is like more than just an opinion. Like,
Yeah.
this is people's lives. And if I have something to say about it, then I'm going to say it, because, it's what's right.
Yep.
Yeah, that's how I felt. I felt because that was around June, and I remember because my birthday is around that time. So all of this was happening, the pandemic, but we're still on lockdown in
Yeah.
June. So it almost felt like, do I celebrate my birthday? Do I not celebrate my birthday? Am I not
You feel
supposed?
guilty.
Yeah, like, am I not supposed to be, grateful for this life that I've been given for another year? Like, it was just so, because there was so much happening in that time that your mind didn't know what to think of anymore. It was just like, it was on this end and then on this end, and it's hard. Like I said, 2020 has been a little crazy. I mean, some of the things that I felt like came into light was definitely like I guess basically how like the government is kind of like for us or not us, because people always have that conspiracy, like, oh, they don't care about us, that's why they let us open up early.
Yeah.
Like all of these things. So it's interesting to see people's point of views when they're talking about that, and I guess expressing their madness. But people go overboard on social media a lot.
That's
They
why, like what you were saying about the
You're
doom
telling me.
scrolling.
The doom scrolling, because you doom scroll and then you also doom post, because you're just seeing all of this bullshit.
And you're reposting
And then you're
things from
reposting
blogs.
it.
I think that's what kind of gets to me the most. People, when they repost things from like blogs and don't actually look into it. Like, Google it yourself. Try to see what other outlets are saying.
Yeah.
Compare, what's that common thing that they're saying and what doesn't really add up.
Yeah.
Because you really can't be quick to just believe anything on social media.
That is very true, because this can go back to, like, remember we were saying about people even in fake relationships, or like being fake happy on social media. That's something that is important, like, of not being fake on social media. Like, you just can't.
Yeah.
You just can't. Like, I was gonna go into more or less like what I've been through, because I know for me there was a time where I wasn't happy, that I was on social media acting like I was really happy. So I know firsthand that there's people that do that for the sake of looking good in front of other people, and that's why it's so important to not believe everything you see on social media, and that knowing that it can be fake news. Because listen, I was one of those people. Like, it's so it was so crazy. Like, I remember being that person and being like happy and like showing that I was happy and just enjoying. I was happy, but I wasn't happy with where my life was at the moment. Like, I was happy because I was grateful. Like, wow, I've made it this far. I'm going through this hardship, but I'm not really happy even with what I'm posting. So that's something that we always have to be mindful of when we see certain things on social media, because a lot of people there's some people on social media you've never seen their real face.
Yeah, it's true. Everything's either repost or, you really don't know what people post these days.
Yeah.
But I agree with that. And sometimes I've learned to be more vulnerable, especially on social media too.
Yeah.
And because throughout this whole year, I mean, we're all going through something. So it's easier to relate Although we're all not in the same situation, everyone has their own situation. But, you know, why not speak about your feelings if you feel some type of way? You know, maybe the way that you express yourself can help somebody else out.
Yeah.
You know, that feels in that same situation.
Yeah. That's what has helped me with whatever I've gone through, is accepting that I'm not happy and that I don't have to pretend to be happy. Okay, so let me talk about it. Let me express myself on social media. Let me talk a little bit more vulnerably with the people that do follow me. And when somebody comments on on a story post that I may put or something like that, because there's times, I'm not sure if this has happened to you, but there's sometimes that people, they'll send me like long messages of like something that I posted that touched them in a certain way, and like, or something that I'm doing that it has inspired them as well. So like I get these posts and it's just like, wow, like I'm literally just sharing because I genuinely like, we have a joke on here that is that we say Audie did that so you ain't have to go through that. So it's like I share my experiences so that the next woman or man learns from it and sees like, hey, she did that and she told us that it didn't
She
go well.
warned me.
Yeah, she warned you. I'm like the older cousin, like I don't know. I'm like the older cousin who is just trying. Yeah, I'm just trying to show game. Like I'm just I've seen what's worked for me. That's why like I'm so
trial and error.
Yeah, and that's why I'm so passionate about talking about the book with you. Because I was just like,
but now I'm curious.
Yeah, right.
Like start that book club.
Exactly. You know what? I feel like for November next year, when I read the book again, I should definitely like organize it before and do it. It's just sometimes like, especially like I feel like after August, like the months just like combined together. Mm-hmm. It was like August and now we're in November.
This whole year.
It was in March and now we're here.
We skipped.
Yes, we did. It's crazy. But yeah, so that I share that so passionately because I'm like, I know what this book has done for me the past 5 years. So imagine what it can do for 1 year for one person's life, or even a conversation. Because that's another thing that it teaches me is like having conversations with the people around you and kind of like really getting to know like your soul. Like I'm not a soul snatcher. Well,
hey.
But I want to get to know you. Hey. Some things, baby. Hav always has great questions. So Hav, do you have any?
Well, one I wanted to ask before was what part of Colombia?
He's been waiting since
Cali?
then.
Okay.
He had that one saved. He wrote it down so he wouldn't forget.
That's good. That's cool.
Cali,
that's cool.
Colombia. Yeah, that's where I lived. My family also, the family that I have left in Colombia is in Bogota now. Okay. But growing up, I was in Cali, and hopefully I'll be there in January.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah.
Your pops is still over there?
He is. Yeah. He lives in Bogota, so.
Okay, nice.
I'll be back in Cali, so I'm excited for
How
that.
far is that? My bad. Now we're going to. Hey, if you guys are going to Colombia, how far is Bogota from Cali?
Plane?
No, or you have to take a plane.
You could do either or. You could do buses. Yeah, I mean the public transportation, but then you're like going on mountains, and it's just like probably not the safest. And you get sick. I get car sick. I don't know about you guys, but I want to say it's like maybe driving. I want to say maybe 12 hours.
We're taking that plane.
That could be wrong.
Oh,
yeah, no.
I'm taking
Plane.
that plane.
You're there
we're taking
in like
that plane.
30, 45 minutes. I'd like to say. Although I've never taken a plane from Cali to Bogota. I haven't.
I never knew that was much of a difference. Like they were that far from each other.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a trip to almost Atlanta.
Yeah, I want to say.
Dang.
Now I gotta look this up just to make sure. But I mean,
it's all there. She's over here. It was only an hour.
Yeah, plane. I'm like plane. I think I calculated. I'm not doing that.
I don't know what happened.
But once you're in Colombia, you better make the most out of all the cities. Cali, Medellin, Cartagena. They're all beautiful. They all have like something different. Is
Barranquilla cool?
I haven't been to Barranquilla. My best friend is from Barranquilla, the Gemini. And I mean, she loves it. The great thing about Barranquilla is they have the carnavales. So it depends when you go to. But, you know, like every city, it has. Barranquilla is known to be more dangerous at a point in time. So has Medellin, but Medellin, I mean, their tourism has gone up like insane.
Yeah.
Another question that I had was that it's just something that we kind of go through a little bit like that, or kind of like being, but it's probably a little different since you did go back, but kind of like being pulled, or a little bit like with your American side, kind of with like the English and Spanish. Like, do you do both? Do you become a master at one?
In Colombia?
Well, no,
Or-
just in general in life. Like sometimes that, well, or like what Claudia was saying, with like our last name, kind of it symbolizes that we know Spanish,
Yeah.
and we kind of don't know Spanish, so
Mine
we kind of.
too.
We kind of feel like we're not Latin enough,
Mhm.
and we're not American enough, if that makes sense. You
It
know what I
does.
mean? Like, we're just kind of like stuck in the middle sometimes there. Do you feel like that at all, ever, or?
Here I don't, but when I go to Colombia, I do. At least when I was younger, because it would be the type of thing where I'd get like in the public transportation. I mean, over there we didn't have a car or anything like that, so we'd get in the public transportation, and I know English, but my mom's instinct is don't speak English. Like, you're speaking in Spanish in this car, nobody knows. Especially back then, where there wasn't that many American people living in Colombia. So you know, you get scared of who's around, who's listening, and you know, anything can happen. So my mom would always be like, don't speak or speak in Spanish. Because they think you speak English. Oh, esta gringa,
yeah.
este gringo tiene dinero, acaba de llegar del aeropuerto, and
Sí,
you know, you
ajá.
never know,
You
literally.
never know.
Literally. And I feel like I've
Not
always stood out too. Besides being like tall, I think most people could tell that I wasn't from there. At least the people in my neighborhood growing up, they obviously knew, you know, that I lived in Miami, and you know, that was fine. And they'd always have me speak English. How do you say this in English? Oh my god, I was a translator. So that was
funny.
fun. Yeah, that was fun growing up. I mean, it was just like a completely different childhood experience. But I'm
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't want to change it.
And on the journalism side of things, were there any inspirations that kind of got you into it? That like, man, I want to do what she does, as far as that goes, or just like any females that you looked up to, or that you do look up to, you know, journalism aside.
Radio was my first love. Like, just off
Same.
rip, listening to it, I'm like, yo, these people are having so much fun. That was always my thing. In the mornings, well, when I moved back from Colombia, my school was the school that I was supposed to go to. Oh, maybe it was the same, but I was supposed to be in Richmond Heights, and at the time,
The elementary school.
right, the middle
Okay.
school,
The middle school.
the middle school.
I went to Redland, but my high school was Coral Reef,
okay.
so I know which one that is. Yeah.
My middle school was supposed to be, let's say, Richmond Heights. And, you know, parents are always looking into the best education for you, thankfully. My mom was, and she was like, I don't know how I feel about you maybe going to school here. She wanted to, whatever. She ended up putting me to a school that was closer to her job. And our commute was pretty long. So we'd always have, like, that bonding moment in the mornings of listening to the morning show.
Yeah.
Y100.
Yeah.
Everything. It was just like listening to that morning show, and they were always talking and having fun, and you know,
The
talking
jokes
and guess the
and,
jokes,
yeah.
the music. It's like a combination of everything, and I'd always be like, I wonder how they like. You know, you start to think how much they get paid and all these other things, and I'm like, I could do that. I mean, I talk a lot. Literally, growing up, I was like hablando por los codos, like they're trying to shut me up. So, it always stayed in the back of my mind. And then when I actually got into like high school, where you could take a little bit more of those classes, I took TV production and like little things like that. So I started like kind of picking like, okay, what can I be good at? You know, it's all practicing and getting comfortable in front of the camera and things like that. And you know, thankfully I didn't change my mind. It kind of stuck through the whole college. I'm like, I knew I wanted to do something in broadcast media, whether it was radio or being in front of a camera, like just TV host. So that's what I'm aiming for long term. As far as like people that I looked up to and obviously just study their interviews and things like that. Angie Martinez.
Of course.
Come on. Besides being a
Of
Latina,
course, yeah.
you know, it was just one of those things that you'd hear her name so much, and then the interviews, because
And her name is, they call her the voice of New York.
the voice
Like,
of New York, literally.
I want to be the voice of,
Right?
of a city.
The voice of Kendall, at least.
You feel me?
She's gotten that respect, and
Yeah.
I think in the long run, that's what I would like. I would
Yeah.
like to have, you know,
The respect, the legacy, bro, she has amazing
stories
stories.
for days.
Stories, like, every time I see a new interview that they're interviewing her, I just feel like I always, like, fall in love with who she is as a reporter, as a woman, everything. Have you ever read her book or listened to it?
I didn't finish it. And recently I've been watching the Untold Stories of
That she did, yeah.
And I mean, it's like every artist always has like a story with her from like back in the day. And you're like, yo, she's been
I've heard
been around for a while.
Some of my favorite stories have been the ones that she's told about her and Jay-Z. And like those are always my favorite because I'm just like, what? Like she was like there.
And now she's like a part of Rock Nation.
Now she's part of Rock Nation. Now I'm sure she gets invited to like all. I love Jay-Z, so like she's living the life that I would like to live, being close with Jay-Z. So that's somebody like, yeah, definitely as a woman and someone who's in front, like who loves radio, because that was something that for me too, like I loved radio. And then growing up, she also did music, so I was just like, I can totally be her. I can totally be her, like, of course it's destined. And so yeah, I wanted to ask, what advice would you give your 17-year-old self?
That's crazy. We think he was gonna ask, that was gonna be my next question.
17. Why 17?
17 because you're not an adult yet, but you still have the innocence, and you're kind of having to make some decisions at 17. Yeah. What am I going to do after graduation? What am I going to do tomorrow? Like, you know, like
I graduated at 17.
Oh, you go, girl.
Yeah.
I did too. My birthday was a couple days later, but I did too. I was 17.
Yeah, you either just had sex or have been having sex for a couple of years, so you know.
Not I.
Not on this couch.
Not on this couch. Huff.
Anyway.
Allegedly, that was Huff.
I was speaking for a friend.
My 17-year-old self, what was I doing? Oh my God. I graduated high school. I think my whole high school years, I feel like I pushed to stop being so lazy towards the end. Like, it was too late at that point.
Yeah.
So I wish I would have focused more on like the important things, but at the same time, it's like, it's high school. You know, you want to have that fun and you want to like not worry about everything. But I remember like getting into college, like that transition from high school and college, and I would just think like, oh, I wish I would have like, you know, been more focused on my grades and little things like that. Got my GPA up higher. I wouldn't have to be paying for these 2 years in freaking Miami-Dade College. You know, little things like that I wish somebody would have been on top of me about. I know, I mean, I'm my mom, but she can only do so much, you know. But I wish I would have had more of like that mental inspiration, maybe like a mentor back then.
Yeah.
That would have kind of put me on that right track, especially with what I want to do. I feel like everybody should have a mentor, even if they do something non-broadcasting related. But, you know, somebody
Definitely.
that can kind of guide you through this journey of life, because it's a lot of different, it's a lot of different bumps, especially when you're like just trying to find yourself and all that.
Yeah, that's actually some great advice, because when I was in high school, my grades weren't the best either. And what ended up happening was I was in night school all of my senior year because I basically hid the fact that I hadn't passed a couple of classes. And so I just kept stalling that. Like, I procrastinated way too much on retaking those classes. And so that's something that I would definitely tell my 17-year-old self, is just kind of like, girl, focus more on your grades. Like, the other shit really does not matter. Like, just focus on your grades, learn it, go to tutoring, do what it is that you need to do. I don't know if that would have changed the trajectory of my life, like if I would have maybe gone to college or things like that, because I tried going to college and I didn't really like it. Yeah. So, and I've been fine without it. So I'm kind of like grateful for that. But I also feel like if I just would have applied myself a little bit more in high school, then maybe some of the patterns that continued after that wouldn't have happened. Right. You know, the procrastinating, the maybe not fully applying myself. I had to learn the hard way that I don't fully apply myself sometimes, you know.
But that's I mean, that's fine. That's normal.
Yeah.
Everyone has like their own, you know, pace in life, and that's one thing that we really can't compare ourselves to like everything else we see. So we were meant to be here in this moment. I'm like a firm believer of that.
Yeah.
No matter how much I procrastinated.
For real. I guess the job done. So I heard you talk about your grandparents a lot. So I have to ask, what is like one of the favorite things that you do with your grandpa, and what the favorite thing with your grandma?
My grandma. Oh my God, my grandma. She's so funny. My grandma's funny. But she's very laid back. They're complete opposite. So the relationship I have with each one of them is completely different. My grandpa is like the more stricter. He's a Leo. He's more strict, and like he could be mal geniado, very stubborn. But he's the life of the party. Like he loves to dance and things like that. So I do find ourselves like bonding more when it comes to the music, and just like in general Colombia. He's very passionate about Colombia.
I believe it.
So I that love for Colombia, I want to say that I have it from him.
Yeah.
And just like watching him, like listening to like salsa vieja and watching soccer and things like that. Like I enjoy, even if it's just seeing him do it. And when he drinks, he'll like put his little copita de guaro like by himself. Him and his friends, like they're all so. My grandparents have more friends than I do. I guess I'm so serious.
They probably
about
have
that.
more friends than us too.
They really do.
You should bring them to the video shoot.
Yeah. Can it? You think
I'm gonna WhatsApp that invite. But they're great, and my grandmother, she's just so much more like laid back, like completely. Like I really don't know how she's. So the reason I'm going to Colombia in January is because they're celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary.
Yay!
Love.
Yes, love.
Strong love. That
50
old
years,
love.
love.
50
That's
years.
a lot. That's a long
That's
time.
rare. Yeah, very,
Very rare. God bless them.
So this time around, they want to have like a lot of the. He's like, I can barely make 10. Yeah. So
we're still young.
yeah, we got time. Literally, what I tell my grandma. My grandma's more like, now she's like, she wants bisnietos. And
She's like, y el novio.
yeah, she wants
Mind your
bisnietos. I'm
business.
like, y el novio. Like, no hay nada, abuela. Like, what do you? That's not happening anytime soon. I'm sorry. And she's one of those that she's very, I don't even know how to describe it, but with her, she's very like, you know, if it's my time, it's my time. So, and I hate when she speaks like that. But, I mean, it's true. You know, unfortunately, life is short.
That is so hard.
Which is why you really can't take anything for granted, even the little things.
Yeah.
So sometimes when she says like dumb little negative comments, I'm like, oh my God, I hate hearing. I'm like, you're gonna outlive all of us. Seriously.
She just might. She just might.
Yeah, they're getting remarried, so they want to have most of the family go out there, and they're getting married in the same church that they got married back then. No, it's the most beautiful thing ever. I'm
I can't wait to see
my
pictures.
standards are like up here for the next few months. So it was mostly my grandpa that was pushing it because, like I said, my grandma's more like laid back, like pa que otra boda, like she doesn't really care for things like that. But I think it's so beautiful that he like even thought about it, because back in the day, the families didn't really approve of their relationship at all. So nobody went to their wedding. I think only my grandmother's father was there. So it's so beautiful that we're going to be able to like all get together.
Proved y'all motherfuckers wrong.
Strong.
Like 50 years later, y'all still giving us a stank eye.
With nietos, bisnietos, and, you know, healthy, which is what's most important.
Are you an only child?
No, I have a younger sister.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
How much younger?
She's 19.
So she's like, how
Yeah.
is that? Because we're 3 years apart and we're super close. So how is 6 year difference?
Now we're close.
Because when you're younger, it's a crazy ass age gap.
phase.
Yeah.
You know, I became a teenager and she's still kind of like, you know, in elementary.
Playing Blue's Clues.
Yeah. Literally, the Explorer.
Like Dora the Explorer shit. Like.
Yeah, so, and when you get in the early teens, I feel like everybody goes through that phase.
Yeah, where
they're
you're just
very, locked myself
don't
in
talk
my
to me.
room, and my AirPods.
Don't speak.
Yeah, well, not my AirPods. Sorry, I didn't have AirPods.
Girl, back then I had a
That
Walkman.
Sony, the gummy Sonys that I'd
gummies,
buy
yeah.
every
Oh my
month in
goodness.
Walmart because they'd always pop.
Facts.
But
The life of a music listener.
They hold us down for a while. God bless.
They hold us down. That's this type of strength that some of our friendships had was those gummies. Very short lived.
But now, I mean, it's a lot different. Now we communicate more, and we have a lot of more things in common. And even then, now she makes me feel kind of bad because she's like, "You're such a millennial." She makes fun of me because I don't know certain things, like whether it's a TikTok meme or something like that. Yeah, she makes me feel old. I'm like, but we get a good laugh. I mean, I'd like to think we have a good relationship.
Something that I have noticed is the whole millennial, like that whole little battle and stuff.
Gen
and
Z.
Yeah, and the Gen Z. And something that I remember when I was younger, because I'm 31 right now. So when I was younger, like 19 or I would say even maybe 25, like you told me 30, I'm like, that's old, bruh. And then it wasn't when I was when maybe not when I was 25, because I think around that time I started coming into terms that 30 was getting close. But at 19 or like at 20 and like that age group, like I felt like 30 was old because some of your older uncles, I mean your younger uncles and aunts, they're that age, so you're kind of just like, oh, they're just a little, you just saw them older. I don't know, now that I am this age, I'm just like, it's not that old. Like,
No.
I don't feel old. I feel better than when I was younger. I feel smarter, sexier,
Yes.
all those things now more than I did when I was younger. So I just tell the youngins
Like, wait till you're my age.
yeah, like wait till you're my age. Like, you don't know until you really know. So just enjoy your cute little youth, I guess. It's going to get better, trust, so don't even worry about it.
And I mean, every generation is different. Like,
Yeah.
I just started thinking about my parents. My mom had me when she was 21. Wow. My parents got married when they were 19. Well, when she was 19, my mother was 19. But, each one of us, each generation is so much different. And my sister, I mean, she's in the whole medical field. So I can already see her being like me, too. And it's like, you're going to be 26. That's what I was doing for my birthday. I was kind of just reflecting like, wow, I'm closer to 30 now. But it's not bad when you think about it, like, at all. Like, I think I'm where I should be, and, hopefully
definitely on the right path.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're definitely on the right path. So especially for
as long as I keep pushing forward, then.
What I keep saying, 1 foot in front of the other, like just 1 foot in front of the other. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Just keep swimming.
Don't trip.
If you yeah, don't trip. That's it. Because when you trip, you tripping. You can't do shit when you tripping. You cannot. So is there anything that you would like to add to the episode? Any questions that you may have for me?
I want to say thank you for having me, for starters.
Yay.
I've had a great time.
Great time having you here.
Yeah, both
I'm
of
very
you guys.
grateful.
To both of you.
Appreciate it.
Yay.
It's good getting to know you in person a little bit more.
Yes, I agree.
No, I mean, I just wanted to say thank you. And also, gotta plug in the.
Oh
the
yes, of
radio
course.
show.
Plug
Let's
your
go.
stuff where they can follow you. All those things.
Yeah.
Drop it on them.
Whether you know Spanish or not, I promise you, because, it's very much Spanglish. You can listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m., 3:05 times. I go live on Fridays at 3 o'clock, and then it's also available as podcast on Spotify, Apple, TuneIn, Deezer, all of the above, YouTube.
Yay.
3:05 times. Subscribe, show love, slide in the DMs. You can also find me on Instagram at 3:05 times _, and my personal at sabrina.aponte.
Yay.
Yeah. I always say my last name in Spanish too. That I do notice.
You do.
So
what
you
you
guys
always
said,
say.
about your last name, like being
Like,
that
yeah.
stamp. Of
I was
your,
gonna introduce you
where you're
as
from?
Sabrina.
Sabrina.
Sabrina. And then I was like, let me just say Sabrina.
Yeah, no,
But-
I mean, I don't even have a middle name. Like, it's just like Sabrina sounds so American, and then Aponte. Yeah, I'm like Sabrina Aponte.
I have actually a very, because my middle name is Renee, so Claudia Renee Larga Espada. So I'm like super Latina. Like, there's no way that you can think anything else that I guess that I am. But that's funny that you don't have a nickname, because we were talking about that the other day, about because my best friend doesn't have a middle name. So how, like, there's some people that just don't have middle names, and because my dad and my brother were saying to keep our last name and make it my middle name, and then my husband's name my last name, so it'll be like all together. And I'm just like, that's a lot.
That's a long.
It's a lot.
It's a long name. Well,
And
I just
you're a Larga Espada.
I just like and I also would like
You're
to
Larga
keep, I would like to keep the Renee, because that's part of the legacy now. I ended up changing my Instagram name because of that, because I thought about the future, and I'm like, what do I want to be remembered as? Like, you know how you think about Angie Martinez and you know who is Angie Martinez,
right?
So it's like you have to start thinking about that as well, because I was going by Audie 3000. That's how I was introducing myself, or Audie. I still get called Audie, so it's not a big deal. But that was just something that I would think about, was just like, how do I want to be remembered? What name do I want to use? And I was just like, why not just use the one that my parents gave me?
What do you see yourself doing in the long run?
I see myself doing this. I see myself doing it in front of a live audience. I was talking to one of my best friends and saying that I would be better doing it late night because of the conversations I'd be having sometimes.
Those late night shows, I mean, there's not all these late night shows past midnight for no reason.
Exactly.
You know, people are watching.
Yeah, exactly. I see myself doing that. I also see maybe also branching out and doing different types of shows, like not just this one. Also with the label, I just see, like, we just have so many artists that are so talented, and I just see that coming into like a higher like energy from them, and just seeing it grow, like having our own headquarters for the label, where we would have like studios for the podcast to do photo shoots, to do music videos, like just having like the whole vision that we've had since we were kids. Like that's what I see myself doing. So that's something that like gets me excited every time that I do the show. It's just like, to me, it's like I'm one more episode closer, because all you have to do is you just have to keep going. Like eventually eventually one day it's gonna go somewhere. Like it's gonna be what you saw in your mind. You just can't give up.
And try not to be afraid to do new things.
Yeah, exactly. And not being afraid to do new things, approaching it differently, seeing it differently, having new people on who are going to bring great energy to the show. So, yeah.
Thank you. I'm excited for this to come for both of us.
Oh, yes, me too. Good energy for what everything that you want. Like I said, you're on a great path, so I'm excited to see the growth. We'll see each other's growth. So that's one of the things I do love about social media. We were saying that about Shara, about that I've seen her growth from when she just had a chair at a salon, and now she has her own salon, and just being able to see her growth, and she has seen mine. Jesus, yeah. she see. Jesus.
It's past the hour, y'all. Her tongue ain't working. It's tired.
So just seeing that's one of the things that I do love about social media, is you're able to see someone's growth through that, like through social media, seeing them own their stuff, have their show, the audience of the show become greater. I just think it's beautiful. I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I love following women that are encouraging and are just doing their thing and killing it.
Yes, especially both like you mentioned living in the West Coast, but being in Miami, it's so much like easy to support each other. Like why not?
Yeah, of course. I agree. All right, well, like I said, it was awesome having you here. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a great time. I feel like we've been speaking for longer, even before we started recording. So this has been going on forever.
That's why I said I was just like, we might need to start recording, because it's starting to get good. I love doing that though. The before, like the little vibe before. Because like sometimes, even though we're both comfortable talking in front of a camera, it's just a little more when it's not just like, all right, camera's on in 5 minutes, and like it's.
You're like sweating. Oh my god! Yeah.
Exactly. It was just like, we're just talking. Now we're comfortable. All right, you know the jaws are warmed up. The jaws for the talking are warmed up, so we can go ahead and get the talking. So I'm glad we got to do that. All right, guys. So remember, we are still in a pandemic, so make sure that you wash your hands, wash your ass, drink your water, mind your business. And for the 146th time in a row, it's your girl Claudia Renee with my co-host Top 600 and our beautiful special guest Sabrina.
Aponte.
Aponte. And we are out of here.
It's the ambition hour, baby. It's the ambition hour, baby. It's the ambition hour, baby.
What's up, player?
Facts.
You killed the girl.
You killed it too. What you mean?